Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
That's the best I got. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever the case may be, wherever you are on this planet of ours. Welcome to Blacklist Universe. I'm your host, Mike S. Miller. This is my friend, Edwin Boyette. We are... Oh, I don't even have my green screen on. Can I?
Wait, you do have a green screen, though.
I do. I've got a green screen.
Ew, it's all droopy.
It's very green.
What's droopy? My green screen is droopy?
Screen, right?
Oh.
All right, what's a good green screen for this?
There.
Oh,
One of
man,
your-
I thought the other one. All right, thank you. Say hello to my little friends. All right. Oh, I can't upload a new background. All right, cancel. All right, I'm just going to use...
Ooh.
Hey, that looks terrible.
Mike in space.
My fade is all jacked up. You know what? I need some light in here. It's too dark. That's why that green screen's having trouble registering.
Yeah, you gotta light it up, man.
Light
Light up the night.
it up. Light.
Now I'm green. What the heck?
Hey, there is a Merte Annunciata in chat.
What the... What's up, my brother? All right. That'll work. Dang it. No, look at my skin.
So
I feel like I'm...
fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, huh?
Well,
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
it's what I've heard since I was a stripling, a young one. Since I was a young lad, fat, drunk, and stupid. But I'm not gonna get drunk. But doctor's orders. Doctor's orders. Got to start. This is good stuff. Have you? Oh, you probably don't like.
Jack Daniels, Tennessee honey.
Tennessee
honey.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's a tonic then.
It is like a dessert. It is a tasty little treat.
Actually, particularly now with the specter of the coronavirus hanging over everyone.
Oh my gosh, dude! You brought that up.
Oh,
I
no.
got a random package today from Shenzhen.
You're
Like,
gonna die.
And I was like, dude, remember how like The Simpsons like prognosticated like the World Trade Center bombing,
Yeah.
And then they prognosticated Trump getting elected. That video is so freaking weird. How it's like him coming down the elevator and the stuff that's happening is just like what happened in real life, and it was made like 15 years earlier or something like that. I'm like, God is working through The Simpsons. But there's an episode where Homer orders something from China and there's some pandemic over there and some dude coughs into his box and closes it up.
Oh
And
no.
then sends it and Homer gets sick.
No.
And I'm like, Shenzhen! No! Shenzhen!
Well,
Scared.
spookadoodle. Did you open the box?
It was a bag, yeah. She opened it.
Mike.
I didn't tell her to. She's like, just open it, man. So she'll be dead first.
Eden will be the canary in the coal mine. Oh no.
Yep.
That's
True.
horrible. That's gonna get played. This is gonna get EFAP'd, and Mike Miller uses his daughter as
I didn't.
biohazard screen.
I did not suggest it. She did it herself. She did it to herself.
And how do you know?
She
I
had
didn't
no
just
fear.
cough into your glass?
Dope.
She has no fear. She has no fear. Burn it, says Migs. Glad you got the art, Migs. Hope. Yeah, I saw that on the tweeters. Is that red wine?
Mm-hmm.
But it was like
Lovely.
none of us even ordered it.
I know. So that's another weird thing. This is the second thing we've gotten, just like random Chinese packages.
And it looks like laundry detergent.
Yeah, like little or you know what it looks like? It looks like the dishwasher tablets.
Yeah.
Just a little package of dishwasher tablets. I'm like,
Was it? Are y'all taking the Tide Pod challenge or something?
I haven't got the foggiest
Someone in
idea.
China wants us to.
Seriously, no clue what the heck that's all about. Hey guys, like and share, like and share, like and share. Do your part. Do your duty.
Oh, there was a reason for going to the
Doo-wah.
coronavirus. All right.
Doo-doo.
Not to alarm anybody, but yet another reason to get as fit and as lean as you can with the specter of the coronavirus hanging over your head. Obesity, and particularly morbid obesity, right? Corpulence
You're tempting me, dude.
reduces reduces the capabilities of your immune system, and so the girthy, the obese, if you will, are more vulnerable to viral infection.
Stop it.
So the best day to do better, to get leaner, to get fitter is absolutely today. Don't wait. Start now. What are you cackling about?
Just nothing.
Whoa, I saw something flash across the stream. What was that?
I just listed a comic on eBay for $700. I hope it gets bought. Morbid obesity. That's Mike. You know what? I'm freaking on one of these streams. I'm just going to take my shirt off so you guys can shut up about me being fat.
Why, you just proved their point.
She's the worst. She is the worst daughter ever. Anybody want to buy a daughter?
How much do you weigh? Oh no. That's no way to go through life. Can't buy me love.
Can't buy me KFC. The Expandables. That is correct, Muerte. Sorry, I didn't actually draw that, so there's no original art you can purchase.
You know, and that would, it might, I don't know if you could get enough for that art, because that would take a lot of ink to render.
That's true. Only 23 live watching. Are you guys getting your notifications, or are you stumbling in here through the tweeters? Let me know in the chat.
P-Money says, I've been avoiding Twitter a lot lately. Every time I check into Twitter, I don't regret my decision. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
People.
Oh, by the way, to just be a little more. Oh, dang it! Where did I put it?
I don't know.
All right, let me open up another window. So, y'all know our friend Sci-Fi Design, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, his wife is battling cancer, and so the link. It's the first link in the description. But she is battling breast cancer, and so if you could get on over down there, Edwin, you want to read it?
Yeah, hang on. I'm hitting refresh and I don't see the link. It didn't make it into the description.
What?
Yeah, I don't see it. Refresh and I don't see the link. It didn't make it into
What the heck?
description. What? Yeah, I don't see it. Refresh.
Okay,
All right.
hold on. That's weird. All right.
All right, but I can read this out. And
Yeah, you
listen.
do that while I fix it.
Wait, this fundraiser is for Lisa. Wow, it's really small. Lisa Music, who has stage 4 breast cancer. She's an amazing mother, a talented artist, and an amazing wife, and a very cherished friend to those who know her. We are raising money for expenses from alternative therapies not covered by Medicaid for her comfort and healing. Oh, wow, man. And that's Sci-Fi Design?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Our community needs us, people.
All right, you're adding that to the description now. Let me hit
Yep,
refresh.
Hold on. And saving. That should do it. Let's hit refresh. There it is. All right. There it is. It's the GoFundMe. Says help Lisa with her cancer costs. If you guys could just help a little bit, help a lot. Help however you can. We're here for each other, right? So God bless you guys. Appreciate it.
Wow. Okay.
100 raised of a $7,500 goal.
Yeah, even those alternative treatments are not. They're not cheap. Nothing about cancer is just devastating on all fronts.
Yep. Absolutely. Hey, Dennis Peruch is here. Dennis, the man with the plan. What's up, Dennis? How you doing? Don't let. Oh, sorry. That was funny. Please don't make this stream about EVS. I don't know who you're talking about, Nick. I was over at his live stream earlier, and he is doing the same thing to you. Be the bigger man. I think that's literally impossible, but
Yeah. I was going to say that's just not.
7,500 to pray for healing. No, the prayer for healing is free, Frank. The 7,500 is to help with the costs of cancer treatment, Frank. Come on now. What? Oh.
Give me a moment here. I'm gonna make a donation.
All right on.
I'm just getting caught up here.
Nixie size. Oh no, don't worry about it. It's not. This thing, that was just a joke, so it's no big deal.
Let's see. I'm sorry, I am almost done with my donation.
Right on. Victor says my niece has cancer too. My little cousin died not a few months ago of leukemia. Yeah, my great aunt in Japan is dealing with that as well. So
make sure this goes through.
It's going around.
Second, no, I gotta check my card. Sorry, I'm just.
Oh wait, no, not my great aunt. My aunt.
Let's try this again. And survey says, got it. Okay, good.
All right. Let's give it a little refreshy-do and see if we make a difference. Oh, it hasn't come up yet. If you could, guys, I need the chat. The link is in the description. So please do donate if you can. And otherwise, let's show a little bit of the Magnificent Seven, the most epic book coming out this year. This is the first page. Was kind of disgusting. I'm not sure how I can make that less disgusting, but I kind of wanted him to just be disgusting.
Yeah, in the red wash that was on that image, though, that made it look even worse, even more horrifying.
Yeah. So should I go with the red?
Oh.
And then I got to do a bunch of put a bunch of news stuff on all this, all these screens too. So I have some work to do on this page. But then we have the inauguration, ladies and gentlemen, the inauguration of Donald J. Trump for 2021, January 2021. Hope this lady gets help. Amen. Amen to that. Yeah, Dennis, that's page 1. This is page 1 because, it's the intro of the villain. Oh, Mike, are you going to send a signed copy to President Trump? I'm probably going to send a nice little box of these to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I'll sign one for Barron. Sign one to Melania. Sign one to, get them around. Eric Jr. or Eric Donald Jr. Trump is a better page 1. But no, because it's the complete, no. This is the great opening of the double page spread. So phobic, no, it's not. So yeah, I do need to change up some of the stuff in here, but just like I'm doing on the other one, I'm doing corrections as I go or before I go to print. So
Yeah, those color corrections and the shading and tonal additions you made to Lone Star really look good. That punched it up so much.
Yeah, I hope so. Is the cover done yet? No, Dennis. I'm trying to wrap up some Lone Star stuff before I start working on the covers. I do want to design one that is primarily President. Awesome.
Mr. Hellstrom 74 says, "Can you add Nancy at the end ripping the book up?" Oh, that'd make a fun variant cover to have Nancy Pelosi ripping the comic book up.
She'd have to score it first. Did you see that? She pre-ripped all of them.
Oh no!
I don't know if I can rip 3 pieces of paper at a time, so I have to rip them. I have to start them.
That's funny.
So sad. So I think we have two more pages to go that are pre-colored or colored so far. Where's the foot soldier girl boy yelling no? Huh? Is the squad in this? What squad?
The squad is who's the squad? Who's the one lady from Minnesota?
Michelle.
The squad is the 3 female representatives.
AOC and
Yeah.
AOC is. Yeah, and then whatever. Ilhan Brother Humper is in there. That's her last name, right?
Yes, Brother Humper. That is indeed her.
Rashida Tlaib. Yeah. She's from Somalia. I guess they humped their brothers there. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah. She's like Mr. Burns without Smithers. Smithers. And then we got a preliminary El Rushbo. I do need to do some color corrections on here because that is the golden EIB microphone, and I do have to correct that. So, squad of the four horsewomen of the apocalypse. There's only 3 of them.
I still do. I think he does need his Medal of Freedom, though, should be part of the outfit.
Yeah, I'll have to add that in post. But that's fine. I mean, the whole thing was drawn digitally, so adding stuff digitally shouldn't take much away, or shouldn't be difficult. So that's where we're at. The link for this is in the description. If you have not signed up for that, I mean, you can. It's weird. I'm really trying. The email list is really for new people. I'm trying to get new people in. But if you want to sign up, I probably will do some sort of a special offer in there too as well. So if you want to do that, go ahead. It's in the description. So Edwin, what are we here to talk about tonight?
Well, we were talking about earlier, Zach, Richard Meyer, your boy Zach.
Yeah, boy, Zach.
The artist formerly known as Diversity in Comics.
Not right. Hold on a second.
Zach's looking a little different.
There it is.
Zach, I think under some pressure or under some scrutiny, finally weighed in on his concept, his idea, his opinion of Comicsgate in the hashtag. Yep.
And I'm thrilled that he did. There's 4? Who's the 4th?
Really right up there.
Oh. Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Presley. I've never heard of that one. Did they add one?
Trying to remember who Ayanna Presley is. I don't think I could pick her out of a lineup.
Ayanna Presley, I'm gonna look it up. Ayanna Presley.
Rhaegar Targaryen says, "Leave my Zach alone."
Oh no. Wait. Nah, man, that's RuPaul.
What?
Open image in a new tab. Unless this is just a bad image or something.
What?
Okay.
Is that
Is this her or not? This is what comes up when I looked at it.
Oh yeah, maybe so. I kind of think I do remember this. She had,
Alopecia.
I think so,
Alopecia?
something. Yeah.
Alopecia. Yeah.
Do you know about this person?
No, it said it on the article. You got that image.
You want me to read an article? Get out of
No,
here
the
with your
title shows
reading
up
and
when
stuff.
you-
Let's just watch videos. She has alopecia. She used to have hair. My wife had alopecia. She went to a doctor in Beverly Hills. He gave her like one shot and it went away.
That's
Whoa.
No, it was literally alopecia. I know what I'm talking about.
A lot of people have alopecia.
Well,
Don't know everything.
maybe she should try the doctor in Beverly Hills. Legit. We went all the way to freaking Beverly Hills to go to this plastic surgeon. He's like,
We
alopecia.
injected her with pure money, and that
Let me fix that for you.
essential oil of money. And
We
then
can fix anything with money. All right. So yeah, we're gonna I don't have any placeholders here. I know he just kind of mumbles about stuff for a minute.
Or actually, and we should make
Hold on. Oh wait, I didn't do the hold on, I need to reshare this.
And this is something that's important to me. If we're going to use somebody's video, we should make attribution. So I will post a link to the chat, and in the description to your video, you should
Put the link to this video.
yes. That is fair use. Part of fair use is making an attribution.
All right.
Yeah.
Copy. Zach's original video link. Bing. Pow. And save.
Lazarus Zoolander says Comicsgate, is that some stupid thing like Gamergate? Some might say
Well, I'm not sure if yeah. Dang it, why is it? Oh, that's sharing the wrong Zack and Me. All right, let me move that over here then.
oh,
It's sharing this one instead.
instead of the video, you're on the wrong tab. You're
What
sharing
on
your
earth is happening? Oh,
you're sharing your own
I'm
video.
sharing my own video.
Yeah, so if you want the chat, you're
Hey,
gonna
I
have to
don't
shove it
need
off.
your commentary, young lady. Jeez Louise.
Let them have it. Eden.
This is not a professional.
Whoa, it's Inception.
All right, share screen.
It's like an old rock video from the 70s.
Share audio.
Freak out, man.
Let's see, where is it? I don't see it. YouTube Studio, Zack and Me.
Tab open.
I shouldn't have so many tabs open, but I do.
Bet you
But
do.
this
Hi
one,
everyone, it's your boy Zach,
Oh,
and I shouldn't be making this video right now.
I love
We can hear
that.
it. We can hear it.
I know. All right, so let me try it again. Share screen. Chrome tab. Why isn't it giving me the option? Here, let me drag it over onto this screen.
Ray Thulu says, Eden, help your poor father.
Hey,
It's entertaining.
that's entertainment. All right.
Boom.
Where am I at here? All right, cancel, share screen, Chrome tab.
Oh, I was supposed to cut mine.
Where the hell is it?
Do you have so many windows open that you can't see the you may have to close some windows? And then you want to share a Chrome window so you can hear the sound, yeah?
Bloody hell. Hold on a second. Let me here, I'll change this paste to that.
To that?
And then
Yeah.
let's see.
Paste a doodle.
Paste the doodly do. CG and me. There it is. All right, now let me move this over here so I can watch it. Full screen.
Yeah. Oh,
Am I doing it? I
you
did
do
it.
You're doing it.
Bianca, you want to get in here? You want a piece of this? I don't care about your microphone, man. You sound fine.
Bianca fights the zombies.
Bianca. Lazy boy doesn't want to come in. All right. All right. So
You know,
full. Oh shit. All right. Let's start over.
Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and I shouldn't be making this video right now. Or rather, I decided to make it, and then I undecided to make it, but I had already made the thumbnail, and I really like the thumbnail, so let's just go for it.
I love Zach. I do. Videos. My wife loves watching his videos. I love watching his videos. He's I hate it when people get like there's a group of guys like some of the former people over on the Facebook fan group that like are mad at him for whatever, and I'm like, I don't really want to get all into it or anything because the volume is super low. You can barely hear it. Dang it, did I forget to share audio?
Pump it up.
Share screen, Chrome tab, share audio, CG and me, share. This is how the pros do it, ladies and gentlemen. This is how the pros do it. All right. I think he talks about random stuff for the first few minutes. So let's.
Yeah. Zach is the uncle daddy of storytellers.
Yeah. I think of that Iowa coin flip and laugh. Yes. But yeah, and it's just like I don't want to not like Zach. So I don't really want to not. I don't want to get into it.
Without glossing over their concerns, I'll give you the 15-second explanation.
Okay, do that.
Okay, all right, and I don't mean to diminish anybody's concerns, but I think what the chat group looked at is like, okay, we're backing you up, we're celebrating, we're cheering for you. These guys over here, I think, meaning the war campaign, are just treating everybody like garbage. And so I think some of it was some anger about willingness to speak out in SJWs in mainstream comics, but not willing to speak about SJWs in Comicsgate itself.
Okay.
And yeah, that's me calling the war campaign type behavior SJW behavior.
Absolutely.
That's my statement, not Mike's.
No,
Anyway,
I'm down with that. Yeah.
That is a very simplified version of it, though.
There's no SJW like an SJW who thinks he's fighting SJWs.
Yeah.
Watching with trepidation. Don't worry about it, Space for Rant. Honestly, there's nothing negative I'm going to be saying about this. Zach dodges minefields like Ethan dodges salads, says.
Dang.
I mean, he doesn't want to get into the drama. I love that about him. I probably follow his lead.
And wow, we are EFAPing like crazy because we've listened to like 5 seconds of audio.
Okay. All right, let's see if we get to the actual part here.
Now it's like frowny face. But whatever, just gotta figure it out. So anyway, one of the things that's been the other reason I decided not to do this is because I was like, I know how clarifications work. Everyone knows how they work. They always just, for any normal, non-malicious person, they say two things. They go, "We knew what you meant," or "That was kind of weird, but I just moved on with my life." For malicious people, they're just going to continue to purposefully misconstrue it forever. But I thought it was at least something interesting to talk about, because now we're getting into some pretty deep lore. It's like three.
All right, so who are the malicious people?
That's a good question.
I mean, I don't want to go negative in here.
Yeah.
But I hope I'm not one of them. You know?
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm not. But I'll let my fans tell me. Zach is a good dude. Avoiding the BS has been magical for him. Yeah, avoiding the BS.
Well, you know what I was going to say? If you listen to Zach in 2020 compared to Zach in 2018, Zach is going like corporate speak. It's like he's taken like a course. I'm like, okay, I've transitioned from being a YouTube critic to someone who actually produces comic books, and so he's gone much more mild. Is not exactly what I want to say, but he's definitely softened his tone. He's less confrontational for confrontational sake, and it's more of a professional voice. And I think this is where people move to. I think this is where people move to.
For longevity's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. To maintain an audience, to grow an audience.
But stuff changes. Like, imagine if the founding fathers had got stuck in the revolutionary mode, right? So once the revolution was won, they had to build a country. And the same thing. Once you've established that you can do something, and you've jumped out there, and you say that a particular tone is important, a particular way of talking and addressing people with respect and courtesy is important, then you can't just talk about it. You have to do it also. And I think that's kind of what he's moved towards.
Lazarus asks, playing it safe, is that what you're saying? I'll without betraying a DM, that is a fairly good summation.
Yeah.
Right. I would say being more professional is a better summation, but he's in the role of the professional now, and so he has to take a step back from being the full-throated critic nonstop. And hey, you know what? I think that's a respectable position to take. I think he's still doing a great job on his criticisms. He's I like his video. I enjoy his videos. So anyhow, but that's the thing, right? I mean, and that's a position from long ago, is when you're a professional, it's in bad form to criticize other professionals. That's why I don't do critiques of, generally speaking, other professionals' work. And I don't even critique other artists' work unless they're on drawn and quartered and I'm trying to break their morale. But unless they're asking me for specific stuff, then or for critique and whatnot, then I'm not giving it to them.
Bianca Fights the Zombie says he went from Raw Power to Green Day.
My daughter loves Green Day. My mother says to get a job. All right, let's get going.
3 years now. So as some people notice, I think most people just kind of continued on with their day. As my buddy told me one time when I ran into him at Walmart, and I was like, every day I say I'm going to Walmart. He goes, oh yeah, I don't pay attention. He goes, you're not that important. As some people might have noticed, I basically stopped. Well, I changed the channel name, midnight going from 2018 to 2019. I also stopped talking about the word Comicsgate, CG, any of that. And it was for various reasons, mainly which I just found it annoying and distracting to talk about it. Also, by an incredible coincidence, kind of luck of the Irish thing, I made the decision to not talk about it directly right before it kind of had a, Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther, like Protestant split into all these different denominations, I'll call them.
Do you remember when I don't think he vocally said, I'm going to stop talking about it. I think he just stopped. But I remember 10 months ago, and specific 10 to 11 months ago, because I remember the exact video and when it happened, and because it was the same video. He was on Ethan. Sorry to bring up Ethan. He was on Ethan's stream, and it was the stream where they were talking about Image Comics and how awesome it was in the beginning of Image Comics, or the early years when they would just borrow each other's characters and do crossovers and all that stuff. And that was the day that gave me the idea to do Monster Hunt. So that's why I remember so firmly that this was the day. So it was 10 or 11 months ago. That's how long ago it was. And so the next day, I actually, it might have been that night, I contacted Zach and I'm like, hey, you want to do this? Can I borrow your characters? He's like, yeah, I just gotta, read the script, make sure it's cool and all that stuff, and we'll do it. And on that stream, he said that Comicsgate was a dead hashtag.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And that was almost a year ago. So this was, I guess he's saying like December, January. Then this was literally like just a couple months before that. So he had already moved into the zone of, I'm no longer associating with Comicsgate. I'm no longer using the hashtag. I'm no longer talking about it. I believe he did a video that said Comicsgate is boring, but he took that down for some reason. But yeah, that's what I remember of that time period. I don't know what you remember.
I do remember him saying, that moment had kind of passed.
The moment of
the reactionary stuff, and that's was, and people get caught up all in this stuff, but it's essentially a reactionary movement, a bunch of people kind of spontaneously coming together at one time, things escalating, and then, but it was primarily people trying to influence and have a conversation, persuade the mainstream comic publishers, and then stuff kind of moved past that, right? Because some of those conversations became untenable, and some of it became irrelevant once people who were pushing that started making their own comic books.
But I don't think it is irrelevant, because as like I did that video and I was talking to the guys at the comic shop the other day, I think, and I've had other subsequent reportage of people telling me that it did make a difference, right?
Yeah.
Like they did see, they got it. There was feedback. It's like
there was. Well, I remember that one night that Joe Quesada was tweeting at us and arguing with me, Malin, and maybe you. Do you remember that? That was, it's been about a year ago now.
I don't think it was me.
But I tell you what I'd do if I could go back in time, I would have used a different tone and probably have been less confrontational. When you get too loud, when you get too shrill, when you get too mean, it makes it very easy to ignore that voice.
Yeah, which is
Not
funny.
the
Zach doesn't. He's got such a folksy hometown kind of. Even when he's criticizing you, it's like
he's grown into that. He's grown into that. At the onset, it used to be much, much spicier.
Really. But no, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's Comicsgate, Zach's day, Comicsgate, Engeltine, Tug. I mean, all this OG Comicsgate mentality, I think it really did make a difference in the comic book industry. They were doing what they set out to do. And I think it's a good idea. I mean, Zach seems to be the one that is still holding Marvel and DC's feet to the fire, right? He's still doing his videos. He may not be as spicy, but he is still holding their feet to the fire. And I think that's necessary, and I applaud him for it. And I think some of the other guys should get back into doing that. Don't be vitriolic. Just be concerned. It's like, hey, look, the critics are there to tell Marvel, to tell DC, to tell everybody, IDW, whatever, that you're not doing it right. If you're if you're hiring somebody for the sole purpose of pushing some political agenda, that's not what this medium is about, right? And frankly, come on, what are your sales? $10,000, $15,000? If you're IDW, what are sales? 5, 10,000. You're not changing the world by pushing a political agenda in G.I. Joe. Right? So it's like it's important that these voices continue to speak their mind and continue to hold the feet to the fire of the industry that frankly we need. We need this industry. If this industry goes away, how many of us are going to make a living on freaking IndieGoGo? Realistically.
Well, right now the number of offerings on IndieGoGo has grown faster than the audience has grown.
Right.
And so I was actually kind of happy that Zach went with a licensed property, because that does
Well, he was
something.
copying me, obviously, because I did that last year.
Well, it potentially brings a whole new set of eyeballs to the platform, which is one of the reasons I'm happy you're doing that Trump book. Because what I'm hoping is that it reminds people that comic books are still being made, and I'm hoping that a lot of people who come in to look at Magnificent Seven, they'll scroll down to the bottom of the page and said, "Oh, you got this. You might want to take a look at this," and hopefully it'll bring a whole new set of eyes to the indie comic book movement.
That's the purpose. But hey, we missed an opportunity to really promote a property that was really hot last summer, and that was the Meg.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yep.
Whoops. I guess if there weren't so many egos involved, that might have happened. But we don't want to talk about that.
And obviously people with different denominations are saying, well, we're the real one, we're the other one, or they're not the fake one. And then of course the other one says they're the real one. That's fine. But it's this weird kind of thing where I get associated with something that I'm not talking about, and then I'll just kind of forget about it, and all of a sudden I'll get it's almost like those the light bikes in Tron. One will just zip across my front, and I'll crash into its little wave that it leaves behind it, and it's like, okay. So for people who don't know, and all this is fuzzy, Comicsgate started getting mentioned in summer of 2017 when, if I remember correctly, pros were flipping out.
Should we go through the history?
The actual history of
I mean,
comics?
he kind of gives a summary of the history of how Comicsgate came to be. Should we just skip that? I mean, there are some people in the audience that are like, "What the hell is this about?"
You can play it. That's fine. Play it. Let it run for at least a minute, so we're not the worst e-fappers ever.
And basically trying to destroy me, trying to find out where I worked, having weird plots to beat me up at conventions. And again, this is months before.
Actually, let me interject something
here.
What they will let me interject something here. And this is a controversial guy. Both you and me have argued with him, though I've kind of made my peace with him. John De La Rose. John De La Rose is the person who broke that story, who got that story. Where that Facebook group of pros was talking about staging an event to trigger Zach into assaulting someone.
Mm-hmm.
John De La Rose is the person who got that information and broke that story. And nobody ever wants to give him some credit with that. And that is kind of ugly in a way, because part of what made Comicsgate be able to jump out, accelerate, was people's sympathy for Zach, because of the horrible things that people were trying to do to him, and just the way human emotions and our sentiments work. Because this central figure was being abused and people were trying to malign him, assault him, or assail him, people felt sympathy for that.
Mm-hmm.
As much as people may say, John De La Rose is a troll and all that, he did that. This is a lot of the origins of Comicsgate and kind of this movement have kind of gotten obscured. Doug Ernst was doing a blog addressing these issues for like a decade before Comicsgate kicked off. And so you had a couple of people like Doug Ernst, Captain Frugal, who doesn't do much on YouTube anymore, Captain Comics, all these people laying the foundations. Ingleton laying the foundations. Yeah. All right, sorry.
No worries.
Frame as well. It's because he said this. No. You were trying to destroy my whole life when the worst thing I said was fake geek girl. Like it was completely unprofessional, malicious, and insane the way that professionals were behaving.
I'm not going to interject too much on this. It's just what he's saying right now, like how people misalign the history of things. That happens to me all the flipping time, especially on Twitter. Just like, oh, you're doing this because of this, and this, and this, and I'm like, no. That was all just way after the fact. The reason I did, that was all me reacting to stuff after the fact. The core issue of why I left Comicsgate had nothing to do with any of all that other stuff. But it's like the timeline gets garbled in people's minds, and so I understand what he's talking about when he's saying this. So just to point out.
So then it started becoming, kind of a flag to fly. And it was being defined. The problem is that I never saw it as being a group that would have a membership. To me, it's like a concept. So there's this restaurant in town that looks like the fake restaurant they have in prank shows. It's like, we've set this up, but we're going to have, whatever, a tiger released from the kitchen or something insane like that. And it's always like, obviously, this like empty storefront they rented for like 2 days. They threw a bunch of cheap tables and chairs in there, like no decorations at all. Like it does not look like a restaurant at all. And there's actually a restaurant in town that looks like that. And they have really good food, but they're like, you've been in business for 15 years and you've never decided to make this any decorations at all. But just imagine going into a restaurant and you come in there and you're like, hi, who in here likes good customer service? And you know how people are contrarians. Even if there's 20 people in there, one person is not going to raise their hand. So you're going to have okay, I don't want to do math in my head. Let's say it's 100 people in the restaurant. That'll make percentages really easy. If you say, who here likes good customer service? And 95 people are going to raise their hand and 5 people are not. Not because those 5 people don't like customer service. Either they're contrarians or they just find it annoying that they have to raise their hand. Like, I'm just trying to eat. Everyone likes good customer service. They go, oh, that's interesting to you 95 people who said you like good customer service because this man is a bank robber. And they point at one of the guys who was like raising his hand. And it's like, therefore, you are all pieces of shit. It just becomes this like,
sorry about
thing.
That.
Like,
forgot he's
there is no group called good customer service. It's just a concept. It's a belief. And that's how I saw things that were called Comicsgate, in 2017 and 2018. Then it became a group that you were a membership of. And then it also became a group where you were there was like, if somebody robbed a bank, you were all bank robbers. Yeah, I know that's stupid. But also just the thing of it being a group with like a membership, I was like, no.
I am in 100,000% agreement with. What are you doing? Why are you tilting the thing over? Yeah, I complete absolute agreement.
You don't even thank him.
Huh? Thank you, Micah.
To put this into context, because Comicsgate has been depoliticized, a lot of it doesn't even make sense anymore. At the time, a lot of people were having reactions, and if you look at the major people who were commenting on stuff, they were doing it from a political standpoint, and where a lot of people, myself included, had strong reactions.
What do you mean by a political standpoint?
Meaning, what I mean is, one of the things that really galvanized a lot of people is is that, remember, Comicsgate is forming in as a reactionary movement on the heels of the Trump election. And so we're looking at people like Alana Smith who are saying, if you voted Republican, we're going to find out who you are, and we're going to remember, talking about people working in the comic book industry.
Oh,
So-
okay. Okay. I see.
a big part of Comicsgate. Some of the most vocal people early on were reacting in anger that people were being economically excluded or excluded from being able to work in the mainstream corporate comics because of their political status. And that the other people had, I had a lot of people push back at me because they would keep saying, well, all these, sure, we know Republicans who work, but no one could name anyone, right? And then I would list all these people.
I can name artists.
Yeah. But I would list all these people who felt very comfortable expressing hard left or even Marxist political opinions, right? Daily.
Yeah. There's no repercussions for that.
Yeah. But my point was, at least politics was a part of Comicsgate. And it's kind of funny that it's gone from, like, a lot of people are having these reactions where a Republican, an open Republican who talks about his politics can't work for Marvel or DC, but everybody else can talk about their politics all day long and even talk about excluding other people.
Right.
And it's gone from
in a position of power.
Yeah, but it's gone from now Comicsgate doesn't want anybody to express any political opinions whatsoever. What does that even mean anymore? Anyway, sorry. Let's.
No, that's
Yeah.
all right. It's it's all part of it's all part of the story, man.
No, it's like saying excuse me when you walk between someone and the books they're looking at in a bookstore. Like, that's a group. Oh, I'm part of excuse me. We're the group of people who will say excuse me when we step in between a bookshelf and the person looking at the bookshelf, because there's not enough room to go behind them. So back when I used to talk to Comicsgate, it was a very simple thing. It's like, don't call your customers Nazis. Deliver a good product. If you have to have politics in it, don't make it one-sided. Show a little bit of the other side, and just don't make it that heavy-handed. But then it became a thing. It was like, are you a part of it? And I just bluff that off. Do you renounce it or denounce it? Bluff that off. But it just becomes really annoying. So there are people who call themselves Comicsgate, and I'm friends with them, and I'm with them in the general things that good customer service. Don't call your customers Nazis. Don't be political very much. And if you're going to be political, don't be that political. Show different sides. And basically, I'm with a bunch of people who do like joke books or like a frog fighting aliens book. Like, nothing is really breaking, anything that I believe in. But then things that really bother me, like, there's a Bleeding Cool article. And again, I was talking about Expendables Going to Hell is getting a ton of mainstream press. And all the mainstream press is normal. It's just, this book exists. Here's the people on it. This is why it's interesting, because it's Sylvester Stallone co-writing about a franchise he was in. But with Bleeding Cool, you always have to have, like, here are some objective facts, and now we're trying to destroy everyone. And it's just so tiresome and trite and boring. And just it benefits no one but the person who just gets glee in hurting others. But one of the things that I saw was like, Meyer works with people who have the same beliefs with him. It's like, no, I work with people who want to work, want to get a good page rate, want to potentially get a good bonus if we have good sales, and are excited about working with Expendables. I've worked with people Expendables that our entire conversation is, I like your art. Would you like to draw this? Yes. Discuss page rate. Discuss deadline turn in. That's it.
It's almost as if he's behaving like a professional.
Yeah. I tell you what, a lot of stuff is referential, because if you say, well, if you like good service, And if you like good comic books, you're Comicsgate. Everybody who walks into and out of a comic book store with a bag is hoping and believing that they like good comics.
Right.
And everybody who walks into that store a second time believes they got at least acceptable service. I'm going to be going to the amazing Aloha Comic-Con in 2 weeks here. I think Nino Towski's coming and maybe Terry's coming out. Hopefully
really?
I'll get to see it. I think so. But Donnie Cates is going to be there. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, Donnie Cates is bad. He tosses CG under the bus. But there's probably going to be 3,000 or 4,000 people who come to see Donnie Cates and believe they got their money's worth.
Well, that's what it's remarkable about Zack's the way he's like refining all of this into, you know, his little metaphor about the restaurant and stuff. It's like literally anybody who collects comic books would qualify as Comicsgate under his definition, because nobody wants bad customer service.
Yeah.
Nobody wants ridiculous political agendas in their comics, except for these knuckleheads that are making the comics.
Yeah.
Right? There's nobody I know of, nobody I've ever met, even my most far left-wing friends, have gone to a comic book store thinking, gosh, I really hope they put a political agenda in Captain America today. You know? So what?
Yeah.
If Comicsgate as an ideal is everyone who's ever bought a comic book, then is it what the hell is it?
All right. So Comicsgate was a consumer-led reactionary movement against Marvel and DC Comics, against specific types of voices, against people who were trying to exclude people, and people who were saying, you know what, it is more important that we need to make these characters and stories, we need to make them subordinate to a progressive political agenda. That's what Comicsgate was.
Mm.
Once professionals are defining what Comicsgate is and defining it as a club, it's no longer the same animal. It shares a name. It may have grown out of one thing, but it is a different thing.
Hold on a second. All right, let's move on.
There's no, swearing. There's no swearing in ceremony. There's no talk of it. It's literally just like, hey, I got this. What's your page rate? My philosophy of page rates is I never offer one. I basically ask what yours is. If it's egregiously low, I will bump it up. I actually bumped up $300 for someone who gave me a quote that was way too low.
All right, hold on a second. I'm going to address Bianca here. He says, it's sort of two issues, trying to save old comics, which I think is a lost cause, versus making our own comics, which I think is the future. Bianca, you can't abandon the entire comic book industry. It's a freaking pipe dream, and you're not just smoking pot, you're smoking crack. If you think that comics in America is going to have some grand rebirth through IndieGoGo, right? It's a good mid-step towards development of independent products, but at someone's got to maintain. Marvel is like 60% of the freaking income of any given comic book store, right? DC is like, sometimes it's 50-50. Well, sometimes it's like 49-49. And then there's like a handful of independent comics that make enough money. Well, okay, I'm not doing the math right.
Let me put it in perspective, because I've got my spreadsheet open. To date, in 2020, there have been 9,000 unique contributions to IndieGoGo. Given that so many people make multiple contributions, that means that IndieGoGo right now probably has, this year, 4,500 people have made contributions to comic book projects on IndieGoGo.
And I'm sorry, but you can't build a freaking new industry selling people a book once a year for $30.
Yeah, to 3,000 people. That's not.
That is crack cocaine smoking knucklehead thinking.
But it
possible.
is a cool and awesome avenue in addition to the comic industry as a whole, and it allows for some very cool stories to see the light of day that would never have seen the light of day otherwise.
You know what it is? It's
frosting on the cake.
No. It's not frosting on the cake. It's kindle for the fire.
Kindle for the fire.
You want, because long-term, long-burning fire, you have to have content that you are producing on a regular basis. You might think of IndieGoGo. That's actually a very good metaphor.
The fire rises, Mike Miller.
Think of IndieGoGo money and the seed money as the kindle you put under the fire. But at some point, you're going to have to put a freaking 5-pound log of oak on there, and that is production on a more regular scale. That is producing books that you can sell via comic book stores, via Barnes and Noble, via Amazon, whatever it is. You have to have a longer term. You can't keep throwing freaking, I was going to use the F word that means a bundle of sticks, but you can't just keep throwing bundles of sticks, little twigs.
Yes.
And that's what they are. They're little twigs. You throw them under the fire to start a real long burning fire. It's a fascist. A fascist is the Italian way to say it.
This is going to get clipped.
This is going to get clipped.
Yeah.
It's a certain word I can't use in its appropriate context for what I'm saying.
Yes. Separately, we are but little twigs. Together, we are a mighty bundle of sticks.
Yeah. So think of IndieGoGo as the twigs that get the fire going. But you can't just rely on constantly burning twigs because it won't work long term. Rhaegar figured out what the word is. Anyways. But no. It will require a long-term and dedicated business model and business goal in order to someday compete with, possibly replace Marvel or DC. But you can't just rely on IndieGoGo to be like, oh, look, I made $1 million on this one comic book. I'm going to do that once a year because I'm going to make one comic book a year. That's not fixing an industry. That's not saving an industry. That's not creating.
The majority of comic book fans, and not people who have discovered new comic books through YouTube and stuff, through movements. The majority of comic book fans read a lot of comics, and so you gotta have comic books for them to read. Crisis in Culture last year gross sales were up 2.5% across the industry.
We may have hit a bottom. I had a conversation. I did an interview video with the largest comic book chain in California, Comics and Stuff. Ed is the owner. He's one of the largest comic book store chains in the country, and he said last year was a great year.
Yeah.
So I think we hit a bottom.
I think the people who are having trouble are people who are poorly capitalized, people who have poor locations, and people whose overhead is too high. So I know some of the other comic book stores in major metropolitan areas where the rent has outpaced their revenue. Yeah, those shops are going to shut down. People who have planned poorly, their shops are going to shut down. Selling comic books, reselling comic books is a very low margin business. It just is. And so you have to make intelligent decisions. You have to know your customer base, and you better have picked a good location.
Bean and Crisis are making a good point. It's too much. It's too high. What was Bean's? I forgot what Bean's was. I just had it on the screen. But IndieGoGo is fine for selling books, but prices are way too high. So the IndieGoGo, like I'm saying, it's the kindling, right? It's the kindling for the fire. When I have all 3 stories for Lone Star done, I intend to repackage them for mass production, for not just for the IndieGoGo audience. I will do a hardback dedicated for you guys who have been backing me this whole time, but I'm going to do a mass retail version that is available through Amazon, hopefully getting it through bookstores and all of that kind of stuff. But you can't, comic books are crack, right? Comic books is a hobby. It's a habit. It's something you go and you buy every week because you enjoy, getting these new stories every week. I mean, this is what it is. When you have to wait 6 months, you have to wait a year, you have to wait a year and a half for a comic book, you lose the
attachment. You don't build attachment. Yeah.
You don't care anymore. It becomes a nice surprise when it shows up, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm not even thinking about this. I'm thinking about way back in the day when I was collecting Hard Boiled, and it's like Jeff Darrow took freaking forever to get this book done. And I just didn't even care. I just stopped even thinking about it. Whereas I would buy these Jim Lee X-Men comics every month, right? And I'm like, I'm getting in there. I'm going to get the next episode. It's the crack, right? It's what's this week that's coming out because it's been a month since the last issue. It's like, oh, the next issue of Spider-Man, freaking Carnage is in it. Oh, it's the next issue of Deadpool. It's the next issue of X-Men. But when you're like, oh, Hard Boiled, yeah, I bought that 6 months ago, and I have no idea when the next issue is coming out. You forget about it. You don't care. It becomes a nice surprise when it shows up in the store, right? But if all the comic book stores were waiting for a bunch of Hard Boils to show up every 6, 8, 10, 12 months, they'd all be shut down. That's not how you run an entire industry. So we have to have a healthy industry. And I think the guys like your boy Zach, like Engeltine, the guys that started the original Comicsgate concept were doing a great service to an industry that I've dedicated my life to. So I think they have a great value, and I think they've made a great difference. And it's important to me. And I just hope that it's important to you guys too. And stop saying, oh, I don't care about the industry. I hope it burns. No, if it burns, we all burn. This won't last if everyone's waiting for comics once a year.
Bianca Fights a Zombie says Mark Waid and the SJWs gave Comicsgate a huge, huge boost. Yeah, so Zack acted as a node and a focal point. And the more people went at Zack, the more sympathy people had for him, right? Mm-hmm. And the more passion, the more people were willing to support and act on those sympathies. And so Zack definitely acted as a focal point for all these problems.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people projected their expectations, their emotions, and their own particular desires or things they were upset about. I think they projected it onto Zack.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Let's keep
it. I'll be right back, but keep it going.
All right.
If I gasp, it's usually a no. I've actually accepted one person who made me gasp, but it's like this. It's probably the only time we're going to work together at this page rate. And, but everything is, very flexible. If the thing does well enough, it'd be like, oh, geez, okay, yeah, let's, doing it again. But I think that's basically all I had to say. Again, I don't see.
I'm going to answer this question from Crisis and Culture. Mike, your art is top notch. how do you plan on leveraging that asset to get comics out more than once a year? Yeah, I know. It's I need to, well, let's see, more than once a year. I got Lone Star was done and out in March. I launched that in, and I'm done with Lone Star 2. Yeah, I will. It's about just getting stuff together, getting stuff more better scheduled, right? And possibly, I mean, man, I cranked out that 24-page book in 21 days. 21 days of working. I could get these books done faster if, well, Lone Star, I'm trying really hard. That's the thing. It's like the pages, I pencil them, I ink them in Quill, which Quill is the slowest method of inking, but I've already started. I did the first 2 issues, 48 pages each in Quill, so I'm gonna have to do the 3rd chapter in Quill. But if I start doing things with brush and Quill, it'll go faster. So my next project, whether it be a Lone Star project, whether it be one of the other myriad projects I want to do, I've got so many projects I want to do. I will do them faster, and yeah, I don't know. Gosh darn it, it's been a year and a half. I launched Lone Star 1. What, in June? June of 2018 was Lone Star 1. I fulfilled that in March of 2019. I launched Lone Star 2. When did I launch Lone Star 2? April?
That sounds about right. Hang on, I'll pull it up. Let's see. Lone Star 1 and 2.
So I mean,
Monster.
I don't disagree. I'm shy of one. I'm a little shy of one a year, like maybe one every 10 months. But that is not the kind of production schedule I want to stick to. I want to be working at a clip where I am producing a page a day. I don't know if I can. I want to.
But, I think if you're gonna up that rate, then you're gonna have to use that style, kind of like you're using with Magnificent 7.
Well, what I'm probably going to do is my next project, not Lone Star 3. Lone Star 3, I'm going to maintain the same art style. Like I said, all Quill, which is the longest, most laborious version of my art. If I go all brush, I'll cut my inking time in half.
Right.
So I'll be able to do a full page, usually, unless it's some ridiculous page with 400 characters on it, like I am prone to do.
Dude, you spent like a week on a wicker chair. Yeah.
I know. Okay, so but if I do it with a brush, man, if I did it with a marker, I would blow through that stuff so fast. When I was doing but I don't like it. I like the traditional tools. So the problem, maybe I'll do like Lone Star stuff. I'll do the stuff that I think is like put all the artistic integrity I am capable of into a project, and then I'll do like a Magnificent 7 type thing where it's like, yes, I'm doing it all digitally, I'm blowing it out, I'm getting a page a day done, bam, 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 bam. So maybe I can do that, like kind of gnip between.
Well, that's what Polito does, sort of. Polito alternates between.
He's not an artist though.
But what he does is he alternates between a Lady Death project and then an alternate product and then a Lady Death product. So there's some variety, but he does it 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. We're still And then I've got other stuff to do, right? Because I'm still doing the covers for Game of Thrones. I'm working on some jewelry design stuff. It's like it's not my only gig. It'd be nice, but I'm not going to give up the Game of Thrones covers.
You know what I want to do with one of the Drawn and Quarters one night?
Yeah.
Let's plan out a story and have everybody do a panel. So at the end of the night, we've got something that tells a story. That would be fun. I don't want to do it every week, but at least one night. Let's plan it out and figure that out.
No, you know what? There's such a thing called 24-hour comics.
Yeah.
Right? Where someone is supposed to do 24 pages in 24 hours. So that's 1 hour per page. What if we had 9 artists on there and we had each of them do 2 pages?
And what, do like an overtime show or something?
2 pages in 2 hours.
Oof. Wow.
That'd be just like a 24-hour comic, but we could lay out the comic beforehand. So it'd be an 18-page comic. Right. And we'd give 2 pages to each person.
Oh, that'd be fun. The reason I bring this up is because in addition to drawing his comics, in addition to the other stuff, one night a week, we're doing Drawn and Quartered, where that's 52 pages a year, essentially. Well, ish. It's in 2 hours. It's not a full page.
Hey, the YouTube stuff takes a big bite out of my time. But it's necessary to it's part of the.
But man, Drawn and Quartered, we do the draw along with Drawn and Quartered. People get work. They get to sell that art. People get to meet these artists. It's worth it. It
builds this whole community up. Yeah,
that is real infrastructure.
Awful Redneck said Mike should possibly have someone else ink his Lone Star stuff. No,
I think the inking stage is really important to you. Yeah.
On Lone Star, it is. However, that is one thing I was thinking about on my next project. I was thinking about tagging in Walden Wong so that he could do the inks on my next project. Walden has wanted to work with me again for so long. And then, man, if I'm just penciling a book, I can get 2 to 3 pages done a day. Easy. Easy. Penciling is I fly through pencils. It is inks that slow me down. I could do 3 I could probably do 3 48-page IndieGoGo projects a year if I just hired Walden to ink me.
Something to think about.
It is something to think about. All right, I think we're almost done here.
As a group or a membership, I see it as a very obvious concept. So I think that's basically all I had to say. Again, I don't see CG as a group or a membership. I see it as a very obvious concept, such as, you should have clean napkins. You don't want your, one time I went to a freaking.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Some said it earlier. It's like this video couldn't have been more perfect perfect for me if I had scripted it for Zach. Zack and I are in complete agreement about Comicsgate. And I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to say it. I'm happy to shout it from the mountaintops. I agree 100% with your boy Zach about Comicsgate.
Taco Cabana, which used to be really popular, and seems to be I'm seeing them shut down. But this guy had all of these sores all over his arms, and then he had the plastic gloves. I was like, we need some plastic sleeves there, buddy, or you should be told to go home because you got something. And he was even the cashier. I was like, still, no, real basic stuff. Good customer service. We don't want the person serving you food to have sores all over their arms, open weeping sores, even if he's got plastic gloves on his hands. It's real basic stuff. So I see it as a concept, not a group, and a very basic concept that I don't see anyone disagreeing with if you
Yeah.
explained it the way I understand. Other people,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Every single person who ever buys a comic book, whether even if they're freaking SJW,
Yes.
everyone qualifies under the basic concept, the ideal and ideas of what Comicsgate was founded to be.
You know, this is all right. All right. So let me put a big caveat because I know my statement is going to get twisted and abused. I am not a fan of this writer. I'm talking about Gail Simone. Gail Simone has fans, though, has a very large fan base.
Mhm.
And the people that buy her comic books believe they're getting a good comic book, and the people that interact with her out of enjoyment believe they're getting good interactions and good customer service.
Mhm.
So a lot of this stuff is completely positional. You know,
Subjective.
yeah, it's subjective. If you like the person and like the things they're saying, you're believing that you're getting excellent customer service. If you don't, you don't. But it's entirely subjective.
That is correct. Crisis says, Mike, you're burnt with Ethan's audience. Why do you keep coming back to this stuff? This has nothing. I mean, this isn't Ethan. This is. It's funny because people are like, Comicsgate is all these other creators and all this. It's not just Ethan. But then I get guys like you who are saying like, and we barely even mentioned Ethan tonight. This is about Zach. This is about Comicsgate. This is about me being in absolute agreement with Zach's concept of Comicsgate. But you're trying to say that I'm trying to talk about Ethan's. I'm in a no-win situation with some people. I understand that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I can't have opinions or agree with the opinions of some people whom I do respect. I do respect Zach. I'm very thankful to him for letting me use his characters in my book. I am perfectly happy to lend him my characters anytime he wants to. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Again, Comicsgate was started on criticism of comics professionals. Mike can be criticized. Ethan can be criticized. If he can't even receive a tenth, if you can't stand to hear somebody like that receiving even, and I'm not picking on you, Crisis and Culture. When I say you, I mean you in general. If these people cannot even stand to receive 1% of the criticism that they've doled out, well, then this is all just a smoke show. If it's principles for thee and not for me, it's all just a smoke show. It doesn't mean anything.
Yep. King Crow, great point. They will never leave Mike alone, Bean, especially if they can use him for content. That's true. That's the problem with channels, and it's funny because I have friends who do outrage culture channels, and I love them to death. But that is the problem with outrage culture channels: is you constantly have to have something to be outraged about because that's the audience that you have cultivated. You reap what you sow.
Yes.
You've reaped an audience that wants constant outrage, then you gotta keep feeding that monster. Otherwise, your audience goes away.
Well, Mike, we saw this yesterday. There was a critic of Comicsgate, and a very dubious person made a horrible allegation against that person, and because of the climate that has been created, and because people were so ready to hate this guy because of his criticism, that this horrible allegation against him, just the speed where it was amplified and transmitted was shocking. I mean, I've kind of gone back over it. I've been trying to map out the nodes and the rate of progression, and nowhere along the way did anybody stop and question the credibility of the evidence. Everybody was so willing to take it at face value and amplify it, call this guy a pedophile call for the FBI to blow up his life because this guy criticized a largely online movement about comic books.
It's insane.
Which is,
it's madness. It's SJW madness.
yes, this is why Comicsgate started, because of SJWs trying to blow up people's lives, and now Comicsgate has adopted exactly that same behavior. I'm using that loosely, all right? And so, unless you're a potato man, when I say Comicsgate and I say it like that, if it doesn't apply it to you, don't apply it to you. But I saw almost no one say, no, this is wrong. We don't blow up somebody's life because we're mad at a little bit of criticism.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you have now is the most vocal critics of Comicsgate are not the SJWs. They were people who were there at the beginning of Comicsgate. They were people who were there at the beginning of Comicsgate crowdfunding, giving their time, attention, and money, and people who have been treated horribly. And then you have people come around and say, oh, all this infighting. No, these people, this is not infighting. This is not infighting. This is people who said, you know, this is a bunch of BS. You didn't give me better. You gave me worse. Because somebody from Marvel or DC might mess up a character I like, but they didn't try and blow up my life as a fan.
Yeah.
Or obsess over me for a year and a half straight.
Yeah. I mean, I had somebody try to freaking flag my Twitter channel, my Twitter account today. They went through my feeds, found someplace like weeks ago where I was talking about libertarianism and drug use, and I'm like, hey, look, if you want to take drugs and go kill yourself, then do your thing. And they flagged my account for like, someone combed through my account to try to find something they could flag me for. And I woke up to that today. It's like trying to deplatform me from Twitter. It's who are
yeah.
Crisis in Culture says the majority of oh wait, that's not even us. Are not comic fans, they're outrage fans. And that's true. I mean, you look at these channels and there's channels with more than 100,000 subs, but they're not buying comics. They're not buying comics. At the most,
It's a secondary product. The primary product is outrage.
Yeah, right. They're not comics fans at all. At the peak of Comicsgate, maybe 10,000 people were buying comics.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see how it goes this year, but it looks like we're down to around 7,000 people tops. We'll see.
Yeah.
But there was another point someone was making. But
why has Comicsgate become populated with people who are so fragile that any bit of criticism just evokes so much anger and rage and the desire to blow up somebody's life?
Eric says, Mike talks about wanting to grow his audience. Why not focus on that instead of what CG is or isn't at this point? You said you left CG, so just move on already. Well, this is just this amazing, wonderful thing that Zack did for me. I mean, he didn't do it for me, but I might as well have written this script for him. He is agreeing with me on what Comicsgate is and should be. And
this is what Mike said. This is what Mike said this summer, and you had people going on night after night saying that everyone should refund Mike's book because he's not CG,
right?
Or everyone should refund Doug's book because he's not CG,
right? And now, what are all those people doing? The grand parade of hypocrites. What are they doing when Zack says, He's not CG. He's not going to label up. He's not going to tag up. He's not going to identify exactly my position. Exactly 100% my position. And you still have Ethan on there, even tonight, going on and on and on about how Expendables is a CG. It's such a win for CG. CG is going Hollywood. CG is going mainstream and blah, blah, blah. Zack's not CG. Chuck's not CG. Nobody on that entire project is CG except Aaron Alfecci, and I think he's doing a handful of pages.
Yeah, yeah. And Aaron is a great artist, man. Aaron is a
I
great
love
artist.
Aaron's work.
Hey, let me reiterate something, though. I do think that The Expendables is a huge win for IndieGoGo, again, because it can bring in completely new eyeballs. And then hopefully those people who buy Expendables will also look at projects that are called CG and will look at other projects, and so that it will be a win for everybody.
Crisis says, Ethan is not going to say it's not CG. Why would he? He can't, because he desperately, desperately needs it to be. But it's not by every single metric or definition of what his label and his brand and his CG only and his war campaign and all of that crap has done to define what it means to be a CG project, where not just the main creator, but every creator on a project has to swear to be CG. It is the exact opposite. It is the exact opposite. But he desperately needs it to be CG because it's Zack and it's Sly Stallone and he's a fraud.
Yeah. In Crisis, the interesting thing, and I'm not picking on you. A lot of people will come to Mike and say these things because Mike will entertain criticism. Mike will even entertain
I'll put criticism right up on the screen.
Yeah. And so I think it's easier to come to Mike and criticize Mike because there's no repercussions for it. But if you go criticize CG,
I can't disagree with this more. The truth does not matter, Mike. Once you get that and let it go, you can move on, man. I can't.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. What he's saying is perception is reality. But here's what I'm going to tell you, Mike. I think the audiences are.
That's. It's just not me. If you've followed me at all for any length of time, you know how important the truth is to me. And yeah, I'll let my freaking house burn over the truth. I will. I'll let people leave me and refund me and stab me in the back for truth. Truth matters to me. I won't just let it go. I'm sorry if that.
But I will tell you, I think the audiences are differentiated now, because you've got one set of people. You've got one set of people who enjoys watching an 8-hour live stream where people get attacked and run through a sausage grinder every night for their entertainment. That's what they want to see. Right? And then you've got a different set of people. And so after a year or 2 years, the audience differentiates. And they're not necessarily the same audience.
Yeah.
Brother, it is 11 o'clock here. I am up in 4.5 hours. I'm going to have to say goodnight to you, sir.
All right, my man.
All right. Aloha.
I think Zack was all done, and he's just winding that down and talking about weird stuff anyways at the end.
And audience, thank you for tolerating my boomer opinions. Aloha.
Aloha, brother. Bianca, I'd love to invite you to come in here, man. If you even have a microphone, just let me know. I'll send you the link. Otherwise, I don't know. Let's see what Zack was saying here.
People see it completely differently. But that's why I picked this one. It's like there's people who call them CG and they're my friends, and I sit on the same bench with them, and then I get up and I walk other places, and then I come back. Anyway, I was originally like, like I said, I'm having frustration. I'm working with one person. I feel like I'm really screwing it up. And I was like, this is turning into a long distance dedication with Casey Kasem. So now I'm gonna go check my email and see if I fixed that or screwed it up even worse. But anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe. Make sure you. Oh, one more thing is, I'm looking at that. There are people who call them CG. They call themselves some splinter faction of CG, but they say that they're the original. The other one's a splinter faction. I'm listening to a lot of Hamilton. I'm reading a lot about the founding fathers. The founding fathers were not friends. They were not friends. They were coworkers at best. That's like if you ever see the review of Star Trek. What was it? Into Darkness. Mike Stoklas is like, this version of Kirk is weeping over Spock, but they have not built up any kind of friendship. At best, they are coworkers. But when I was making the Expendables Go to Hell IndieGoGo campaign, I was looking at people who call themselves CG, who formerly did and now renounce it, who never did and have no opinion on it, and it was all kind of the same. Crowdfunding is the wave of the future. Crowdfunding has captured all of the excitement in the comic book industry, like the little traps in Ghostbusters. We just slid that out there. We stepped on I did the stepping sound. Do you hear? I did the step. I didn't even realize I was doing that. That you step on the little button and then it just sucks in the ghost. We just trapped all of the excitement in the industry, whether you love us or you hate us, or even you're very consciously trying to avoid talking of us, which makes it really obviously you're thinking about us all the time. We've just captured all of the excitement, and now our choice is what to do with it. Well, what do we do with all of that, power and excitement and energy? What do we do with it? So anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe. Make sure.
Yeah, it is a great point. I don't have to get along with everybody who is doing crowdfunding. I don't have to get along with everybody who is or is not Comicsgate. Crowdfunding is it's the future for the launching, I believe. It is, like I said, it is the kindling. It's the kindling. It's the Kindle. We should publish on Kindle. No, it's the kindling of what could be a great and glorious fire that keeps us all warm for a very, very long time. I'm streaming. What? Unbelievable. But I don't know. I don't know where we're all going to be in 2 years and 5 years, whatever. I know that the crowdfunding model works. I know that it's not a long-term business for individual properties. It may be like, again, for first run projects, like, Ethan is occasionally right. His point that, the first run, the opening night, the in theater experience of the comic book can be and should be something that is a premier edition, and that can be like I said, the kindling that gets us to the point where if we're only making, if I'm selling a book and it's let's see 148 48, that's 120 plus 136, say it's 136 to maybe 150 page graphic novel that I'm selling on Amazon at some point for $25, and I'm only making, if you're selling a book on $25 on Amazon, you're only making $14 a piece on it. And say you're selling, a few hundred copies of that a year. That's not something you could do here and now. I couldn't spend a year drawing a 150-page comic book and then putting it on Amazon and hoping to make a living making $14 a copy. I couldn't. I can't. It's not a practical reality of business. But if I'm selling a few thousand copies at $25 a piece of premier edition signed special edition comic books through IndieGoGo to a select number of fans who are willing to, put forth the money to support the production of these comic books. And then, boom, after a couple years, I have that on Amazon, right? I have that on Amazon making me $14 a copy. That's what I'm getting for the Meg, about $14 a copy. But now I have that income source and I'm working on the next project. It may take me a couple years to finish the next project, but I'm getting paid enough to make a living producing that. And then at the end of that, damn, for those who are patient enough to wait and didn't want to wait for 2 years for me to finish, they don't care about premier editions. They don't care about signatures. They don't care about all the little nooks and crannies and the fun stuff you get with the stretch goals and the cards and the prints and the whatever it is. They can just go buy the trade paperback on Amazon or at the comic book store or at Barnes and Noble, wherever it is. That's a long-term goal, is to stock up Amazon with stuff that people like. Say I make a new fan and he's like, I do want to buy your $25 premier edition comic book. And then I'm going to go to Amazon and I'm going to buy your back stock. And you have 10 trade paperbacks on there for $25 each. And that's going to be $140 for me from somebody who wants to buy my new $25 comic book. Right? So if you think about it long term, it can become, like I said, the big 5-pound block of oak you stick on top of the kindling. But you can't just keep throwing the kindling down. It burns too hot, too fast, and it goes away. And it's not a way to build a long-term fire. I hope that makes sense. Dan Mendoza released 3 books last year and made $225,000. Ron Z released 3 books in 2018 and 2019 and makes $150,000 K. This was on Kickstarter. I don't know what the. Are you arguing with somebody? Solve for X for $1.99. Are Graveyard Shift and Jawbreakers in Monster Hunt a lot? Yeah, they are. More Jawbreakers than Graveyard Shift, but Graveyard Shift is a pivotal part of the story. Good night, Bean. See you all later. Later, Bianca. Anyways, I think we're about done here. I think my little diatribe there kind of, I think that wraps it up pretty good, right? Is that a good wrap up for this video? Mike was a Cub Scout. I think he's got a good fire starting skills. I'm also a convicted arsonist. That's a whole different story, but it was when I was a teenager or before I was an adult, so it is what it is. This video is kind of about 80 minutes too long. All right, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to say God bless you all. I'll tell you the convicted arsonist story some other time, but until then, just remember, man, we're winning. We're winning life. We're winning everything. God bless you all. Have a great rest of your evening. Go watch somebody else for a while or go to sleep. It's 1:18 in the morning here. Go to sleep. What are you doing? Show's over.
Because we're going to turn it around and we're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.